Hello, everyone. Um, there's still a lot of unrest in Chile, and there's just whenever there's a lot of unrest, and it was a big deal in Chile. It's kind of like, it's equivalent maybe to like a lot 9/11 here in the States or something. Um, but whenever there's big acts like that of vandalism, of terrorism, or whatever you want to call it, of rioting, of violence, whenever there's big acts of violence, public displays of violence, people automatically get into debate mode and spiritual mode, or not spiritual mode, but politics and religion starts coming up, and I love that. That's just something that I live for. But it's funny, like, why does that have to happen? Like, why do we need destruction and violence to question, to bring up these subjects? And it seems like people don't care unless something bad happens. And it's just status quo, unless something bad happens. And so I've always talked about us not, like, another war is not going to, another world war, let's say, is not going to do the world any better. And so we can't be expecting another war, even though another war might awaken people up to the atrocities that are going on in our own hearts and souls. And sometimes that does wake us up. Let's not hope, and let's have faith that there will not be another big uprising or a big war or a big, where millions of people will die. Let's hope that does not happen, that we can evolve into something new without having to go through the pain and the suffering of that. But it's hard to tell what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. But we can't be the ones who are saying that we need a big war in order for things to change, because I don't think more violence is going to add more goodness to the earth, So, but we are the creators of this world, definitely. So all these things that are propping up all over the world is definitely a creation and an effect of what we experience in the field of consciousness. The field of consciousness, to me, is more real than this world, and we're living there now. So we live within our consciousnesses. I don't know if that's well said, but we live within our conscious minds, and everyone does the same, right? And it's all interacting at the same time. It's all a field of consciousness. And that is that is what's going on in reality, is what's going on in your heart. That is really what's sustained, like, it's the real cause of everything that happens in the material world. And so when outbreaks happen of violence and of, just mainly, acts of extreme violence that we see in different countries, it's like an effect of the negativity that's going on in the field of consciousness in that region. It's just like like a burst, it can't take anymore and it just explodes. But the real cause of that is what's going on in the hearts and minds of people in that region. I'm convinced of that. So we can pray for different regions, we can pray for different people, but all our task is, like I've always said, is to keep your heart pure, clean it, wash it away of negativity, have good thoughts for everyone, have loving thoughts for everyone, whether they're enemies, whether they're loved ones. We have to wash all that negativity away and know that everyone is doing their best with what they know. Even all these anarchists and just people that are up to no good, somehow they think that's going to create something better in their life, despite their ignorance, of course. But love is going to be the big transformer of society. Our consciousness, and the 3 steps of the new covenant: the surrender, the love, and the faith. Not necessarily in that order. So it's been a quite interesting just to debate people, and not debate, but just have an inter-exchange of ideas with other people that you don't usually get the opportunity to do that with. And it doesn't seem like people change, though. People are just kind of stuck in their own ways, and despite what you say, it doesn't seem like people change at all what they think. So we'll see how that plays out as far as our task is as a cultural movement. Is to create cultural change. And I don't know how that's going to happen. No one knows. But we know that the spirit of the culture of the last, thousands of years is unsustainable. It's on an unsustainable path, driven by, the ego-based drive towards the self, which is not driven by others, but it's driven just by the self and the need for security and that turns into survival of the fittest, and that turns into power eventually. It's the same spirit, and it's never satisfied, it's never fulfilled. And so everyone's in a state of discontentment because it's never satisfied, it's never fulfilled. No matter how much you have, no matter how much you don't have, no matter what, you're always in a state of lack. And you're always in a state of anxiety, and you're always doing tremendous harm to yourself. And a lot of people don't know that they're doing that because they just think that's just the way life is. They don't really know. It's kind of like kids that are born in horrible neighborhoods. They don't know any better. They just think that's just the way life is. They haven't experienced anything different. And so people also live their lives that way. They don't think that their anxiety is anything strange or, just because they've never experienced anything different. And so people sometimes just go through life like that without knowing anything different. But we hope there's going to be a rise in consciousness of spirituality, of people gaining consciousness of others, of feeling others' pain, and having compassion towards others. But it starts with the self. It's so important to start with your compassion with your own self, to have peace inside your own heart, to have compassion for yourself. Don't treat yourself bad. And if you're always seeking, if you're always, needing of that security, of that survival of the fittest mentality, of always expanding, always needing more, always never fulfilled, it just does a lot of harm to you internally. And so, just like Jesus says, follow the kingdom of God first, and all these things shall be given to you. And that's one of the greatest verses I've ever read in the Gospels. And it's just such a relief to have. I give so much thanks to Jesus, or whoever wrote those words, or wherever that idea came from. It's just such a powerful idea. And it's such a true idea. That's the magic, is that it's not just an idea, but it's something that's true. And it shows the importance of faith. And the power of faith. The power that faith has to create your own reality, to create worlds, to create. The power of faith is so amazing. It can create worlds. It literally can create anything. And that's what we have to have, is a lot of faith. Because in order to jump into this nonviolence, to jump into this surrender to God, in order to jump into this unconditionality for people in the environment that we live, where there's a lot of toxicity, there's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of hatred, there's a lot of negativity around us. In order for us to jump into goodness, in order for us to jump into unconditional love, in order for us to jump into all of these things, we have to have faith. We have to have faith that something's good is going to come out of it. But it's that faith that will take us there. So let's not forget faith. Faith is the creator. And we are creators through faith, through faith in God and faith in God's ways. We can't deceive and use faith for the wrong ends. Only through God and His ways can faith be fulfilled. So, use the 3 pillars: the surrender, faith, and love. So, trust that good things are coming. Trust that, give thanks to the Lord that great things are coming in your personal life and in the world. Give thanks to the Lord that great things are just around the corner. Even though you might be in a very down, a very negative spot in your life, sometimes the darkest places, the darkest corners, the darkest prisons, the darkest moments of hell in your life, are just, it's just kind of like you're getting to the peak and you just can't see beyond it. But tomorrow morning you might see the light. And it's happened to me many times. I don't know, it's weird, but whenever I've had some of my worst days where I feel super down and negative and just everything seems to be going wrong in life, and you just gotta hang in there, have faith that things will get better. And it seems like, for me at least, I don't know if this is general, but just my own personal experiences, the next day I usually have a great day. Like, it's just, I don't know why. If it's like a pendulum where if you go too far one way, it goes too far the other way, I don't know. But that's just something personal. But what is universal is the power of faith, the importance to keep that faith in the ways of the Lord, in love, in unconditionality, and in surrender. So a blessing to all those tonight who are suffering, who are in dark places. A blessing for Chile, a blessing for Mexico, who I know are going through hard times right now, and a blessing for the United States, and a blessing to the world in general. May we rise up to what belongs to us, what is our divine right, which is love, which is grace, which is beauty, which is peace. That's our divine right. We just have to get it. We have to choose it, and we can have it in this world. And we will have it. We don't know when, but we will have it. So good night, y'all. Have a good one.